Republicans very likely already undermined their entire impeachment effort against Joe Biden. Now, you're well aware by now that Kevin McCarthy's unilateral decision to open an impeachment inquiry against Joe Biden happened this morning. Here's a brief clip of today's announcement.
That's why today I am directing our House committee to open a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden.
But here's what Kevin McCarthy didn't take into account that undermines his entire effort. According to Politico, in 2020, the Trump-led Justice Department formally declared that impeachment inquiries are invalid unless the entire chamber takes formal votes to authorize them. The head of the DOJ's Office of Legal Counsel back then had written, "We conclude that the House must expressly authorize a committee to conduct an impeachment investigation and to use compulsory process in that investigation before the committee may compel the production of documents or testimony." According to Politico, this investigation of Biden, quote, is expected to feature significant scrutiny of actions taken by the Justice Department, FBI, and IRS in relation to its investigation of Biden's son Hunter and his foreign business dealings. All three agencies would be bound by the OLC opinion. By the OLC opinion, by the way, that the Republicans passed to protect Trump. And by the way, these are rules that I agree with. I do believe Pelosi should have sought a full House vote for Trump's first impeachment. And guess what? If she had sought that vote, she'd have gotten the votes. After all, she also had the votes to actually carry out the impeachment for Trump's extortion attempt in 2019. But the fact is that she didn't need to seek a full House vote back then, as there were no rules to that effect in place. But because there are rules to that effect in place now, again, thanks to Trump's own DOJ, now those are the rules that should be respected. In this case, it's perfectly fair to say, we didn't make the rules, but we are going to follow them. And by the way, for when Republicans inevitably claim that OLC memos aren't binding, remind them that the only reason Trump wasn't indicted after the Mueller probe was precisely because of that guidance.
I believe a reasonable person looking at these facts could conclude that all three elements of the crime of obstruction of justice have been met. And I'd like to ask you, the reason, again, that you did not indict Donald Trump is because of OLC opinion stating that you cannot indict a sitting president, correct?
That is correct.
In other words, for the Republicans, spare us your sudden disdain for the very OLC guidance that served as your guiding star when it was the only thing keeping Trump out of prison. It wasn't just the Trump-era DOJ that railed against unilateral declarations to begin impeachment inquiries. Even Kevin McCarthy himself railed against them. Just days ago, McCarthy gave this quote to Breitbart: "To open an impeachment inquiry is a serious matter, and House Republicans would not take it lightly or use it for political purposes. The American people deserve to be heard on this matter through their elected representatives. That's why, if we move forward with an impeachment inquiry, it would occur through a vote on the floor of the People's House and not through a declaration by one person." And lest you think that this was just some half-baked idea that Kevin McCarthy said in passing, not so much. In September of 2019, McCarthy tweeted, "Speaker Pelosi can't decide on impeachment unilaterally. It requires a full vote of the House of Representatives." That same month, McCarthy tweeted again, "The Speaker of the House moved to have an impeachment inquiry before she read one word of evidence." The following month, he tweeted, "It's been 34 days since Nancy Pelosi unilaterally declared her impeachment inquiry. We will not legitimize the Schiff-Pelosi sham impeachment." And if he viewed that effort as illegitimate, then surely now, with actual rules precluding unilateral declarations starting impeachment inquiries, Kevin McCarthy, of all people, wouldn't want to legitimize such an effort, right? Right? Anyone? Anyone at all. And of course, the ultimate irony is that the reason that Trump's DOJ even created this guidance is because Republicans were just that mad about the 2019 effort to impeach Trump, when that impeachment was actually warranted. Remember, that was over Trump's extortion attempt with Ukrainian President Zelensky when he withheld military assistance and weapons while asking for the quote-unquote favor of an investigation into the Bidens. That actually happened. What didn't happen was any semblance of criminal activity by Joe Biden now. Republicans quite literally have zero proof of anything, which is probably why even their own party hasn't gotten on board with an impeachment.
The time for impeachment is the time when there's evidence linking President Biden, if there's evidence linking President Biden to a high crime or misdemeanor. That doesn't exist right now, and it isn't really something that we can say, well, in February we're going to do this. It's based on the facts. You go where the facts take you.
And there has been a search for that for some time, I think it's worth stating.
So just to clarify, you would not support an impeachment inquiry into President Biden at this point?
I didn't say that. At this point, I haven't seen any facts or evidence. When we get back, I'll have an opportunity, I hope, before they bring up the impeachment inquiry to make the case on why they need it. And certainly if it's something that what they found so far would dictate that, then gladly we look forward to it. But I look at impeachment as one of those things that's once in a lifetime, and unfortunately becoming every other year, every other official type thing. So I really think that we're abusing the system, and it's not exactly how it was set up or meant to be used.
I don't see evidence yet that would support impeaching Joe Biden. And I think we're cheapening impeachment by doing that kind of thing. I criticized Democrats for doing that over the Ukraine issue a number of years ago on impeachment. And I don't want my party to fall a victim to the same thing.
Starting to understand why McCarthy did this unilaterally? Because if he brought this up on the House floor, he wouldn't have had the votes. And so instead, because he was too weak to do his job, he opted instead to undermine his own past comments, his own purported principles, and his own party's DOJ guidance, all to shoehorn an impeachment inquiry that's about as popular as his own speakership. Which raises the question, why not just wait until there was enough support? Well, that one's pretty easy. Here's Matt Gaetz on the House floor today.
On this very floor in January, the whole world witnessed a historic contest for House Speaker. I rise today to serve notice. Mr. Speaker, you are out of compliance with the agreement that allowed you to assume this role. The path forward for the House of Representatives is to either bring you into immediate total compliance or remove you pursuant to a motion to vacate the chair.
Because McCarthy is owned by the extremists in his own conference, and he's that desperate to hang on to his speaker's gavel that he will do whatever they say. They want him to jump, he says how high. This has nothing to do with Joe Biden, which is evidenced by the fact that Republicans still haven't produced a modicum of proof to actually back up any of their wild accusations, and everything to do with the far-right's vice grip on Kevin McCarthy, coupled with his desperation to remain speaker. If the right had even half the interest in governing as they do in consolidating their grip on power, they might actually be an effective political party. Instead, it is a three-ring circus happening in real time. So they'll start their impeachment inquiry, but just like they found no evidence to tie to Joe Biden before, they're not going to find anything after. Of course, a glaring lack of proof and a tenuous grasp on reality hasn't stopped them before, and it likely won't stop them now. But at least the rest of us can clearly see what a joke this all is. And if you ever needed more evidence as to why Republicans shouldn't be given an ounce of power, it's what happened today on the House floor. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to this channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.